Boom, shakalaka boom. You've tuned in to the free-range human show of choice, your daily dose of reality radio. Man, we're going to stay true to that phrase today. Reality radio. This is the Clay Edwards Show. I'm, of course, Clay Edwards, coming at you live on the Big Stick, 103.9 FM WYAB, a little First Amendment freedom of speech outpost here in Flora, Mississippi. Great to be on the radio here on a Monday morning, the day after he has risen, coming off an Easter weekend. I hope everybody enjoyed their Easter weekend. I know some people that didn't. We're going to talk about them coming up here real quick this morning. The phone lines will open up in hour two. The Mazda of Jackson phone line will open up in hour two, and I want to get your calls, thoughts, and opinions. In the meantime, the Guns and Gear text line. Write it down now. I know we're going to have a lot of new listeners, viewers, and streamers this morning. The Guns and Gear text is 769-241-1944. 769-241-1944. The Mazda of Jackson phone line. Again, I will not take any calls before 8:07. It's 601-879-0002. If you're watching on the Facebook, X, YouTube, or Rumble, at SaveJXN. On Facebook, X, YouTube, and Rumble, you can leave comments there. If you missed any of the show, you can always go back and watch it live on any of the aforementioned video platforms. We load up clips, reels, and all that stuff to TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube and Facebook, little short-form videos. And, of course, the podcast, the audio only. The true definition of a podcast gets loaded up with all the commercials cut out to to Spotify, Apple, and all other audio podcasting platforms, including Audible, Books, Podbean, and others. All right, let's jump straight into it, shall we? If you've been living under a rock, play catch up. I'm not going to be doing a whole lot of resetting here. Friday afternoon, right after lunch, maybe around 2 o'clock or so, an online group similar to Catch a Predator, known as Pred versus Prey, a fellow by the name of Bryce, who we will have on this show coming up in the next segment. So about 7:25, Bryce with Pred versus Prey, the man who put his life on the line to go expose, I got to say alleged in the meantime, even though he admitted to it on the film, got to cover our butts legally here, alleged child sexual predator, a fellow by the name of Hector Custode, who was a finance manager out at Fowler GMC, Fowler GMC there in Pearl, Mississippi, right there on the Pearl Brandon line in Crossgates there. He goes in there, long story short, and he presents him with a lot of evidence where old Hector had been having some very, very inappropriate, and that's the nicest way I can put it. If you have kids in the car this morning, I think most kids are out of school today. But just in case, it's going to be a pretty graphic show this morning. Just the context of it. So just a heads up, I think your kids probably need to hear this, but that's not my job to decide. But it's nothing. We'll avoid extreme sexual talk. So, but it would be more about the situations and how to protect yourself. So I think it'll be PG-13. We'll say that. Anyway. He had lots of inappropriate conversations with a girl who was purported to be 15 years old. Whether it was a real person or a setup, we'll find out. He goes in, he exposes him on film there, records him. I don't believe Hector knew he was being recorded, but neither here nor there. Made him tell his boss. Big old humiliation ritual. And we're going to get into it in detail. I'm saving some of it. I want to say this first, though. There's been a lot of talk online, very polarizing, very split. A lot of people very upset with the way it was handled from the perspective of going in the business Fowler GMC, and that it exposed them to a lot of unnecessary liability, that it exposed them to a lot of unnecessary slander. And I don't disagree with any of that. But unfortunately, that is the price you pay to play the game, as I say. and the game of owning a business and hiring people, and these type things can't happen. And look, I stand with Fowler, and I'm begging y'all, don't slander Fowler. If you don't like the way they handled it, guys, I may be biased after 12 years in the car business. I thought those guys handled it as well as they could. Anybody who thinks that the second that they were told, that the other managers were told what were happening, where he made them confront a manager and tell a manager, anybody who's saying they would have done anything differently, I really doubt you would have, especially if you've worked somewhere like that for a while and you were not the top dog. That is getting blindsided in a way that you could never imagine being blindsided. You work in those dealerships more, you're around those people more than you're around your family. There's a lot of pranks in those places, just all kind of stuff. And I'm not defending anything Hector did here, but I am defending the response by Fowler Buick. Or if I keep saying Fowler Buick, Fowler GMC. I am defending the response of those guys. I don't know what you thought they're supposed to do. Or the manager, the owner on the phone, who, by the way, didn't know he was being recorded, the owner on the phone, can't just say, guys, I don't know if you've ever worked with an HR department. He can't just say, yeah, I'm firing him. Talking to some random guy without knowing the details, doesn't know what's going on. Is he being punked? How extensive was it? Whatever. I mean, you can go on and on and on. Y'all ain't got to like my response here. I'm just telling y'all, this is the way it works. Now, Hector has been fired. So I don't think that the guys anything short of, the only thing that was going to satisfy the internet with those managers being told was them snapping out, oh, you did what? You text a 15-year-old? You get the hell out of here. I'm going to kill you, you MFer. Anything short of that, and the internet wasn't going to be happy. And realistically, short of a few people that I know, that's very unlikely to happen. I'm just going to be honest. The one guy said it's above my pay grade, and you might not like that response, but that was the best response. Sorry, but it's above my pay grade. Yeah, I think it's nasty, but anyway, we were just talking last week. I was defending how much better the car business has gotten, how much better the people in the car business have gotten from what it was in the 80s and 90s, and even the 2000s for that matter. And it is a lot better. But I said, hey, just with anything, there's bad people in every job. And this will help purge. This will help purge one more bad person out of it. And I can assure you, if they didn't have them Saturday morning, because a lot of dealerships don't have sales meetings on Saturday morning, every single dealership in central Mississippi in the sales meetings will be discussing this in detail. There ain't a whole lot to discuss, frankly. Hey, guys, don't do that. You see what happens to a dealership. You can see what happened to your life when you do. I mean, you want to talk about the shrapnel and just the unintended victims in something like this. I mean, look, Fowler's going to take a hit on this. They already have, but I thought their response, was I'm fishing to read, was good. Came out at 1 a.m. this morning. Odd time for a big official release, but hey, whatever. I guess they wanted it up there, boom, first thing Monday so people could see it when they woke up, which I did at 5 o'clock this morning, so I do appreciate that, especially for somebody like myself doing show prep. So let's get into it. Let's read their response here. And this is what we're going to be talking about this morning. Also, coming up in hour 2, there's another sexual deviant, pedophile-esque type case that flew under the radar that I don't feel like got a lot of attention. And I guess I can take credit for not giving it attention. I saw it and kind of brushed it off for whatever reason, and maybe election stuff was going on. I don't know. But we're circling back to it today, and we're going to give it the attention it deserves because it's worked its way through the courts, and the man has pled guilty. The guy that everybody kept saying was innocent, and the accusations were false. Innocent men don't plead guilty, as my buddy Gary Langston would say. But we're going to talk about the Britton Butler case up there in Madison. Apparently Britton's related to some very powerful people in Madison, and I've been told that I need to watch my back if I talk about this. Bring it. Bring it. Bring it. As The Rock says, just bring it. Yeah. Watch your front is all I'll say. Let's read Fowler Buick's response. This came out at about 1 a.m. this morning. I told everybody that would listen to me, their response is going to be the most important thing they've ever done. The way they handle this moving forward, they have got to show compassion and seriousness with whatever they say. It's got to be believable. It's got to be stern. It's got to be passionate. And I think they hit the ball out of the park with this. I've already seen some people try to nitpick it apart, but whatever. I guess people, you can't satisfy everybody. Fowler GMC says, currently there are rumors circulating our tight-knit community regarding an incident that occurred on Fowler GMC property Friday, April 18th. We would like to take this time to address the aforementioned rumors and introduce factual information in the hopes that we can put an end to needless speculation. As a family-owned business of 72 years, it is our goal to encourage a culture of integrity among our employees. Our valued principles of honesty and transparency, as well as respect and dignity, have solidified our reputation in the community as a quality dealership with its customers' best interest at the forefront of all transactions. Along with the rest of the community, we were shocked to discover that Hector Custode, if I'm pronouncing that wrong, it is what it is, Custode, was engaging in inappropriate conversations with a minor. Not only does this behavior directly contradict the principles we implement daily, but it is also reprehensible. We perform background checks as well as drug screenings during our hiring process with the intention of eliminating any candidates whose values do not directly align with the Fowler name. Unfortunately, this process is not foolproof. With any new employee, a business must assume some risk, as there is no way to be certain that an employee's professional demeanor equates to his or her personal life. Hector Custode was terminated immediately following the events shown in the video. He has also been prohibited from entering Fowler GMC property. We do not tolerate nor do we condone the actions mentioned in the video. With that being said, it is our legal responsibility as a business to investigate all claims prior to taking defensive action. We have spoken with our attorney, and we will cooperate with law enforcement in any way needed. Let me put this guy on hold real quick here. It is of the utmost importance to note that we have never received prior complaints surrounding Mr. Custode's behavior. While we understand that some are dissatisfied by the live response of our owner and some of our employees, please keep in mind that they were blindsided by the information and filmed without their knowledge. What you saw in the videos was not a casual disregard for the severity of the situation, but rather genuine shock. We, our family at Fowler GMC, we take great care of our own. Hector Custode is no longer part of the Fowler GMC family. I agree with everything they just said there, and I had a conversation with Sean yesterday, and I uttered those exact words about, man, those guys got blindsided. I don't know how anybody thinks. It's easy to sit back on the internet and be armchair quarterback about how you would have reacted and all that. I call BS on 99% of y'all. Wrapping up. He says, while we appreciate the work Bryce does in exposing dangerous individuals, we feel the manner in which this exposure took place has caused unnecessary damage to our employees, as well as our reputation in the community. We urge you to look at Hector Custode as an individual rather than part of the Fowler GMC community. His actions do not represent our business, and our principles are not ones Mr. Custode chose to implement in his personal life. Sincerely, Fowler GMC management team. I've seen some people that are upset with the phrase unnecessary damage to our employees. It was. I agree with them. It is unnecessary damage to their employees, but again, it goes back to what I said at the beginning. It's the price you pay to play the game when you're a public-facing business. It happens, and I thought their response was perfect. I think they hit a home run. Let's take a break real quick. When we come back, we got Bryce with Pred versus Prey on the phone. Should be an absolute banger for the rest of the first hour here on The Clay Edwards Show. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back in to the Clay Edwards Show. We are back on what is sure to be one of the biggest shows we've ever done here on the Clay Edwards Show. Today is the 900 and how many episodes are we into this thing? I'm just curious. I'm pulling it up real quick. Like 954. Is that what it is? 900 and I don't know why I'm looking. I'm just curious because I can't keep track. Let's just say 954. I then screwed my thing up here trying to pull up that number. I don't know why I did that. Anyway, this segment brought to you by our friends over at Men's Health of Mississippi. Hector, that's what we call low T behavior. That's low, and if you look at him too, you can tell he clearly, potentially, allegedly, of course, probably has low testosterone. A lot of that type behavior can be avoided by getting over to Men's Health of Mississippi and getting a free testosterone screening courtesy of the Clay Edwards Show. Guys, if you're suffering from fatigue, decreased muscle tone, lack of energy, low libido, brain fog, sleep disturbances, or any of the other aforementioned things, you could in fact be suffering from low testosterone. And we're going to get you hooked up with a complimentary screening. Text my name, Clay, in all caps to 601-327-8550. 601-327-8550. Also, if you're looking a little bit like old Hector there, those side profile shots were not friendly of Hector, quite overweight. You could qualify for compounded semaglutide. That's right. It's basically generic, long story short, basically generic Ozempic from Men's Health of Mississippi, actually their New Care clinic there. Just text weight loss to 601-327-8550 and have a consultation about that today and get it all good here locally. They are still making it out there at Men's Health of Mississippi. It has not been barred. The formula they're using has not been barred, so you can still get it from Men's Health of Mississippi and New Care. Just text weight loss to 601-327-8550 for semaglutide, or text Clay for testosterone. Same number, 601-327-8550. All right, man, let's go to the Mazda of Jackson phone line and throw a Molotov cocktail into y'all's mornings. We got Mr. Bryce with Pred versus Prey on the phone with us this morning. Bryce, you there, brother?
Yes, sir. How you doing, man?
Man, I am good, brother. I appreciate you taking the time to get up this morning and join the Clay Edwards Show here on WYAB. I know you'll be visiting with another one of our shows today in the lunchtime hour from noon to 1, so we'll have you fully covered here at the station. We are the number one talk station in the area, so you picked the right place. Look, brother, you set the internet on fire. I said a Molotov cocktail. You threw one into the local internet community, social media community Friday after lunch around 2:00 or so. And man, I just happened to log into my Facebook and saw somebody shared it into one of those local Real Talk groups. And I was like, okay, the caption got me. I said, well, before I share something this sensitive, I got to watch this whole thing. And man, have you ever watched a movie and just felt like real cringy, like you're embarrassed for the people in it, you know something bad's about to happen. That's how I felt, and I didn't feel bad for Hector because clearly he got his comeuppance and got what he had coming, but I still just had like that anxiety watching this thing unfold. And when you said I was watching the comments, you had told somebody, you said, I'm about to make him tell his boss. I said, oh no. Cause I spent 12 years in the car business, so I just know how I worked at a new car franchise for a long time, almost next door to that one. And so I just know how tight-knit those buildings are and how everybody knows everybody, and they don't always necessarily like each other. But anyway, so I knew that it was like, I keep saying Molotov cocktail. It's like a Molotov cocktail got thrown into there. And hey, real quick, before we get started on how you came about this and all that, let's clear up the Fowler GMC stuff. I've seen your responses to it, and I've seen everybody else's. I want to extend you the opportunity to clear the air there.
Fowler GMC and Buick has nothing to do with Hector's actions. What I had to do has nothing to do with them. They didn't know about Hector. They didn't even know I was coming. They have no part in that. I just had to do what I had to do in his closed office with me and him, and they just happened to be the business that I went to. Like It could have been anybody else, but it just happened to be Fowler that day.
All right, let me ask this, because there's some stuff going around, and because I want to get to the meat and potatoes of this, but this has been a little more polarizing than I expected it to be because of the shrapnel that Fowler has kind of received from this, with their reviews getting blown up and all that. Did you? No, I did not see this in the video, but did you tell anybody that, like, were you approaching random customers on the lot or in the building, telling them they have a pedo working here, they have a pedo working here? I saw you tell a couple staff members something to that extent. Were you walking around telling random customers that?
No, I never talked to one customer there.
Okay, just getting that out.
Only if they had a Fowler Buick GMC shirt on. I went to 2 people, and I made sure that they worked there just so I could tell them in a private way, and I left.
Yeah, that's what I saw. So I was wondering if there was something else I didn't see, because that was kind of the scuttlebutt. Okay.
Everything's recorded until I went to my car.
All right, good deal. All right, so let's start at the beginning of the video. We will have a commercial break or two in here, so if I got to stop, just roll with me. Let's start at the beginning of the video, man. You're in the car. You say you're coming from 3 hours away. So just to be clear, because there's a point in the video where you say, I got a plane to catch at 4. I'm assuming that was just to keep him moving, kind of expedite the process.
Most of the things that come up on my live when I'm talking to a alleged predator is a lie. I have to say all this to get them so comfortable that they want to admit everything to me. So when, like, a lot of people are saying, you're so nice to them, well, it's psychology. You have to get into their brain to get them to think that they're okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree 100%. I was talking to my friend Sean yesterday, and I said, man, it's a lot like being in sales. You got to build some rapport with them. You got to get them comfortable.
And that's what I do for actual living, sales.
Yeah, so you get it. Yeah, so I mean, it's like I said, you got to build some rapport. And I was actually in finance for a couple of years in a dealership, so I understand that position well. Yeah, so this one hit home for me because A, it's in my backyard, and B, it's in an industry that I stand up. I still fight for the people in there, and I actually just did a show last week, or a big segment on the show, about how the car business is not what it used to be, and a lot of really good people are in the car business, and how a lot of the bad people have been purged out. And then this happened, and I'm like, well, you know what? It's an opportunity to purge another asshole, excuse my language, out of the business. And there was going to be a lot of uncomfortable sales meetings this morning at all the dealerships throughout the central Mississippi area having the same conversation. So on that, I just look at things like it's an opportunity for a positive, and that is to purge the system of people that don't need to be in it. And I think Fowler Buick has an opportunity here, granted that one they didn't ask for, but an opportunity here to lead by example and look at expanded background checks into potentially people's hard drives. This is something I've talked a lot about. I'm sure it exists, and I think that anytime you see grown men that want to go be school teachers, especially elementary school teachers, I want access to your hard drive before I put you around kids, because I don't think it's normal for grown men to want to be around kids.
But granted, that a lot of businesses, like a lot of alleged predators, it's always that I talk to. It's their first time. They've never got caught. They could have done something before, but they've never got caught. So you can't really put the blame of any sort about that type of things with them, because they would never know until it happens. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. All right, so let's get to the meat and potatoes. How did you discover Hector?
Okay, so everybody we discover is random. I have different decoys set up across the states, and it's all random. We're on every dating site, every social media, everything. So we just come across these people random. They message us first, and we just go with them. As soon as we get off the dating app, we go to like a different app, like Snapchat or text message, and then in the first sentence we have to say, like in the first few sentences, we have to say our real age, and all that. So, yeah, so Hector, we found him on, is it Tinder?
I think it's Tinder.
We found him on Tinder. And then he messaged us, and it just went from there.
All right, so let's just clear it. The 15-year-old girl is not a real person, correct?
No, everybody, it's all a decoy. No real children are harmed in this. I don't exploit children. I don't use children for this. I use grown adults who portray as children and that they think as children.
Good, and that's what I thought. But a lot of people really believed every word that you said in that interrogation, so to say.
I know it's hard to put out a video because everybody will believe what I say to the alleged predator, but what they need to know is don't believe me.
Yeah. Well, I think all you really need to believe in those things, people, is what comes out of the predator's mouth when they're admitting to what they're doing.
Yeah.
Like if they're Now, I'm not saying believe every lie they say, but if they're admitting to this, believe it.
Yeah, 100%. Because I have the screenshots to back it up.
So let's get to that. We got to keep it a little clean here for the radio.
Yes, sir.
And we got about 2 minutes before the first break here. We got to keep it a little clean. So, I mean, you called him out on some really sexually explicit stuff. And well, let me run it back a little bit first. You find Hector. You tell him he assumes this person is 28 or older or whatever it was to be on the app, or 18 or over. And at what point did you tell him you get him to move to Snapchat? And is that when you tell him that you're 15, or is it before you move to Snapchat?
Yes. Okay. So you can't tell them. We had like a 10-minute conversation on the dating app, and then we moved it to Snapchat because you can't tell them that you're a certain age on the dating app because the dating app will report it, like it will scan it and know that you're a minor on the dating app, and it will block you and IP ban you. So you have to get a whole new phone, a whole new everything. So you have to get them to go to Snapchat or a text message app.
Okay, so that's what I
go to the Snapchat. Yeah, we tell them.
All right, so you get them over to Snapchat and you tell them pretty quick, "Hey, I'm 15," and that's the point where what you're hoping happens is that, "Hey, I'm out of here. Peace out." Block.
Yeah, what most people do.
Yeah, I was going to say I assume most people do, but he made it pretty clear that he was ready to risk it all, and he crapped out.
Yeah, very shortly. But Hector was a smart man for a little bit at least. He was a smart man. He always tried to say what he wanted to do without saying it, if that makes sense. But towards the end there, he finally slipped up and said some bad stuff.
He did. I mean, like I said, I don't want to get into the sexually explicit stuff here. I want to make sure we promote his video, though. You can go to Rumble, and you guys know that we're on Rumble. We stream to Rumble every day. I'm a big supporter of the Rumble platform, and one of the reasons I'm a big supporter of the Rumble platform is because they allow guys like Bryce and Pred vs. Prey to post their content on there without it getting taken down. People get upset with me a lot, Bryce, because I don't talk about this stuff all the time. But when your two biggest platforms are YouTube and Facebook, you know, like I know, they're I don't want to say they support pedos, but they make it really hard to talk about it.
It's so hard because, that's why I've never been monetized on Facebook. I've been doing this for a year. I've never been monetized on Facebook, and that's my main platform. They hate me. They finally started to give me a little leadway, but that's why I just use Rumble because they're uncensored. I can post what I want, and a lot of people get mad for not using YouTube, but little do they know is I get banned on YouTube all the time.
No, yeah, me too. And like I said, even like when I would spell the word pedo out, I put a 0 at the end of it when I've talked about this whole situation on Facebook because they'll shadow ban you. They'll demonetize you.
I'm used to doing that too. I use asterisks.
Like I said, I just wanted to clear that up with a bunch of people. Well, why aren't you using this? It seems shady that you would use that. Look, big tech. I'm just going to be honest. For the last few years, I don't think it's any secret. Big tech has been in the bed with the folks with the agenda, and they don't like you talking about this stuff. I don't know if it's that they're running protection for them or they feel like it's running protection for themselves, the exposure, whatever it may be. They've made it very difficult to talk about this stuff on those platforms. All right, Hector, we got to take our first break here. Oh, no, I'm sorry, not Hector.
Did you call me
Bryce? I said Hector so many times. Bryce, my apologies. Bryce, we got to take our first break here. When we come back, more on Hector and how all this stuff unfolded and what was one of the more shocking things that you discovered throughout this. And we got some listener questions and more. This is the Clay Edwards Show with Bryce from Pred vs. Prey. We'll be right back on WYAB. Come back in. Welcome back in to the Clay Edwards Show here on WYAB. Guys, let's just jump straight back into our interview with Bryce with Pred versus Prey. Bryce, you there, brother?
Yes, sir.
Thank you for staying on hold with me through the break there. Let's jump into it. Okay, well, I'll just say what I just got a question here. Somebody says, since you're in sales, serious question here. It says, since there seems to be no regard for collateral damage, will you give my listeners the name and locations of the company that you work for? Now, this is coming in, speaking in third person. Do you feel like, I guess this is circling back to the question about the collateral damage of Fowler, since you feel like people seem to feel like there's no regard for collateral damage, would you be comfortable putting where you work out there?
Look, my boss loves me so much and what I do so much. If I was licensed to sell in Mississippi, I would have gave you my insurance card. Nice,
man. Standing 10 toes down on business. I like it. All right, on to the next question. A lot of people have asked this, and I think it's a good one. Why not take the evidence straight to law enforcement instead of doing what you do?
Because the evidence is there either way. I mean, they can't turn down the evidence that I have just because I recorded a video. The evidence is there at the end of the day. I've had times where I've went to certain police stations in certain places, and they tell me, no, you can't do that. No, you can't do that. So, I mean, at the end of the day, I've had many videos where I go do my video and give them the evidence after, and they go arrest them as soon as I do it. So I've learned that in doing this, it does not matter if you go and interview them first. If the evidence is there, the evidence is there. So with anybody saying that, it doesn't matter, at least to me anyway.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on this one personally. Now, I'm not in law enforcement, and I'm sure some of them may disagree, whatever. But, I talked to one or two over the weekend that they like it because you can do some stuff that they can't do. As far as
I'm not a government official. I can't get charged with entrapment like everybody says. You have to be a government official to even get charged with entrapment.
Yep.
But I'm just a regular civilian. I'm a journalist, and this is what I love to do. I love to get into the mind of your local alleged pedophile, and what I love even more is seeing them locked up. So there's not one time that I don't go to the cops.
Yeah, and I know you went straight to law enforcement when you left the dealership Friday, correct?
Yes, sir, I did. Today I'm talking to them today.
Which law enforcement agency?
I think it was Brandon.
Pearl PD or Brandon?
Yeah. I think it was. I don't know. I went to the closest one when I left there.
Probably be Brandon.
I forgot what the name of it is, but they have all my information. They're going to give me a call back today.
Okay, good deal.
And I told them where I was and asked them if that was the right jurisdiction, and they said it was. So.
All right. So, well, see, technically it was Pearl, but Brandon, people consider that Brandon. Neither here nor there. It'll be interesting to see where it falls out. And I actually do want to hit on that because a lot of people have said, why ain't you been arrested yet? Guys, this is a complicated case, and with there not actually being a quote-unquote victim, they have to look at all the evidence. It could go up to the DA's office or the AG's office, and then they may handle it. Just because he works in Pearl doesn't mean that any crime took place in Pearl. It would have to, a lot of things go into that. So just for the public out there, that it just, like I said, just because he works at Fowler, worked past tense at Fowler, and they're located in the Pearl city limits, that doesn't necessarily mean that Pearl's going to be the one to show up and arrest him. He could live in Brandon. He could have some nasty stuff on a hard drive at a house in Brandon. So it's all kind of different factors at play there. I'm guessing you would agree.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Definitely. I definitely agree with that. They got to look at everything. They got to take it to the prosecutor. They got to see if it's enough. They got to do all that.
So I agree with you on this as far as going into the dealership before you go, or just going into the place of business first. And again, I know that a lot of people with these businesses will disagree with me because of the collateral damage that could happen. But I go back to the exposure that this got and the awareness that this brought to this community, because that hadn't happened around here before, to the best of my knowledge, at least not in what we call the Tri-County area, which is like the greater Jackson area. the level of attention that's got going to social and blowing up like it did versus just getting them going in, making an arrest, and getting a notification on our phone. Oh, a local car salesman, or finance manager, whatever, dealership employee arrested for inappropriate contact with a minor. Most people would have said, oh, that's gross, and gone on about their day. But to see that whole thing unfold and play out like it did, it really painted the scenario, and it made it real. It made it so much more real than I've ever imagined it being, and it really lets you know that they walk amongst us. These predators do, and it's really,
You'll
really
never know who it is.
No, I mean, we talk about it a lot on this show about people that fit the profile, in my opinion, and and people get so mad at me, but man, I was like, I don't know, man. The profile says, that's that single guy singing in the church choir. That still lives at his mama's house and never been married. That guy fits the profile, and I could go on and on and on. But you bringing attention to this, and then reading his text messages back to him that he has sent the girl, talking about eating peaches. And y'all have to Google what the peach emoji is. I won't go into detail on the radio, but I mean, he got very, very graphic, and it made it really hard to have any sympathy for anybody involved in this. On Hector's side. So, like I said, good work, man. Real good work on it. And I like it. I know a lot of people have said that, well, you could have had collateral damage and it could have turned into a hostage situation, that anything like that could have happened. Has anything like that happened? I heard you mention, or to one of your commenters in the live, that you have to be careful about the way you do things because you have cases pending or lawsuits or something. Have you had something happen that you can talk about? Did it get physical with somebody, or did you get sued or something?
Okay. So I've had people in my group get physical when we first started, and yeah, we're still getting them dismissed. So yeah, I mean, you can always have bad apples in your group. That's why I do this solo dolo now. I mean, it's just me, my camera, or if it is another person, it's me and my cameraman that stays in the car.
Yeah.
So that's the only case. It's impossible to sue me for defamation and slander. It's impossible. I have lawyers myself, and my lawyers will tell me I can do anything like that as long as I don't go in there and lie.
Yeah. No, I think you've covered yourself. I do. I'm not an attorney. I mean, I talked to one attorney who disagrees with me, but I don't know I don't see where your exposure is on this. Because if you didn't tell any lies, if they want to try it
and waste their money, I got plenty of time.
All right, look, hang tight. We got to take another break. We've got Bryce with Pred versus Prey on the phone line here on the Mazda Jackson phone line. We'll be right back with more on the Clay Edwards Show. In. Boom goes the dynamite, literally, this morning here on the Clay Edwards Show, the most incendiary show on the radio all throughout Central Mississippi and America, as far as I'm concerned. We're streaming worldwide at WYAB.com, as well as the TuneIn app and Alexa. Just say, Alexa, play the Clay Edwards Show. I don't know, maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. We're also streaming in Stunning HD. Y'all can see me with my bed head. It's time for a haircut in Stunning HD this morning if you're watching on Save JXN, Facebook, YouTube, X, or Rumble. This segment, real quick, going to be brought to you by our friends over at Huey Magoo's. That's right, guys. The filet mignon of chicken, Huey Magoo's. They serve up only the top 3% of premium chicken tenderloins. Huey Magoo's handcrafted chicken tenderloins are marinated for 24 hours and cooked to perfection, and you and your family will taste the difference. Huey Magoo's is not your ordinary chicken tender restaurant. Huey Magoo's also has wraps, sandwiches, salads, and meals. You hungry yet? You know you are. Visit Huey Magoo's today, Bass Pro Drive in Pearl or Lakeland Drive in Flowood. Huey Magoo's, the filet mignon of chicken. Guys, if you're going over to the Governor's Cup tomorrow night, swing by Huey Magoo's first and get some great, great chicken on your way. And boom, you'll get to your seats, and you won't even have to get back up to do anything other than get you a cold beer or use the restroom. All right, man, let's go to the Mazda Jackson phone line. We have got Bryce with Pred versus Prey here on the phone with us. Bryce, you still there, brother?
Yes, sir.
Man, I appreciate you staying on hold through that extended break there, but I just had so much more that I wanted to get with you on. Let us run it back to the beginning a little bit, man. How did you get into this? You're a young guy. What are you, 24?
Yeah, I'm 25. Just turned 25.
25? So you're a young guy. I mean, this is something, I call stuff like this is a calling. This isn't something you get into for the money or anything else. This is something you're passionate about. So I'm going to ask a personal question here. Were you or somebody you're associated with, close to, a family member, assaulted ever by somebody that drove you to get into this? Or is this just something that you became passionate about just for whatever reason?
I'm going to tell you the why I got into this, okay, Clay?
Yeah.
I got into this because something very close around me in a town or two over, this old man gave this little boy a note that said, "Come to my hotel room. I will pay you $200 a night to come do some things with me." Right?
Yeah.
And nothing got done about it. Nothing, and it just like blew my mind, like, because in my head, so nothing has ever happened to me personally.
Good.
To people that I love and care about, yes.
Yeah, man. It's sickening.
But what really made me do it is because I started thinking about it. I'm like, no one is even, I haven't heard of, like, I'm not trying to bash the police. I haven't heard of the police doing any stings like this around where I live ever. Like, ever. So I started thinking about it. I'm like, dude, is no one just trying to at least, like, lure these guys out and catch who could do this to young children like that? So I started thinking. So I started, and then I started basically doing it. Started trying to catch everybody that would like children, I guess.
So what's
that's why I started it.
I like it, brother. I like it. I mean, again, that's why I started doing radio, and I don't want to compare this what I do to what you do, because I'm not necessarily putting criminals behind bars and exposing certain things, but we expose corruption and more blatant stuff without kind of putting ourselves potentially in the line of fire. So I think what you're doing is very commendable. Let me ask this, because I've had somebody reach out on the Guns and Gear text line. Do you have a plan in place? Do you have any training at all if a situation were to go sideways? I'm surely you're not packing in these situations.
Sometimes I actually am. I mean, believe it or not into a business or any sort of like that. But if I go to a home,
oh sure,
6 out of 10 times I'm packing. Like, and that's not that I would use it. I would run before I use it, probably, just because I know that it's my fault if I go there and it goes sideways. I know it's my fault. But in my mind, I don't know. In my mind, I'm thinking, a lot of people don't think this way, but I'm thinking the dealership is the safest place for everyone. If I can get down and sit down in his office with the door closed, if anybody's getting hurt, it's me. I'm not letting him get out those doors. You know what I mean? Like, if anybody's gonna get hurt, it's me. So I don't see why people have a problem with and saying that other people's lives are in danger.
No, I've heard some other people suggest, well, why wouldn't you just go to his house? And I just think that would be an absolute terrible idea.
Yeah, they won't pull out their AR-15 from behind their door and shoot somebody on their property. You just gotta, and once you start talking to these people, you kind of develop a relationship with them, and you kind of know exactly how they're, like, the kind of person they are. You know if they're a meth head. You know if they're a good guy, like, not a good guy, but you know if they're a little boy in the heart. You know what I mean? If they're scared. Like, you learn all of this. And Hector wasn't, I don't know why people say that, because Hector was a little boy, to me, at least.
Mentally, he was.
Yeah, I didn't sense any fear for anybody else, for their safety. I didn't want to go to his house. 1, I didn't have his address. 2, he has a little boy. I didn't want his little boy to be there. So I'm not going to do it when his little boy is there. That's cruel. 3, he lives with his dad. Like, There's a lot of different reasons why I didn't. If I wanted to find his address, I could. But once I learned that he has a 10-year-old, I didn't want to say that. But once I learned that he has a son, and he lives with his dad, that I don't want to go to his house anymore.
Kudos for that. And some people say, oh, but you go to the business. But, I mean, you got to pick your poison at some point. So I understand. I think the public place is a much more safe option for doing that for all parties involved. But, I mean, I do understand. Something could happen, but something can happen anywhere.
And I wouldn't have went to the dealership if the dealership didn't have his name on the website. Like, I did some digging and research. I spent 2 weeks finding out where he worked and getting the information about this. I got his first name. I figured out what his last name was because he didn't tell me, of course. He didn't give me any information like that. I had to sit down and hunt for this man's work. And I finally found it. So,
yeah, I after the Luigi Mangione thing, where he found the guy, the president, the CEO of that insurance company on their website and all that stuff, I understand. I think you're going to see people really reevaluate about putting all their employees on their websites. And stuff like this is a good example of how it can blow back on you. I know I quit putting my employment. Now I'm 100% self-employed with the radio show and my social media platforms now. But prior to that, when I had to juggle two things, and I'm doing a controversial radio show where I call people out and stuff, they were constantly trying to get me fired from my job and everything. I could definitely see where people would reevaluate putting their. I just don't think it's important. I mean, I'm glad that he did. I'm not defending Hector by no means, but I think you'll see dealerships maybe reevaluate putting all of their staff on their website because it makes it more easily searchable. Then the people will say, "Oh, well, you're going to protect pedophiles?" No, but I think you're protecting the business by not putting it on there. If somebody being a pedo, they can be found. I assure you. Maybe just don't have to find where they work at.
Yeah, it's pretty easy. Like after it was all said and done, they had the directions to the dealership, had everything.
Let's see here, man. I got some questions that I played a Facebook post last night and asked people if they had any questions for you. Cool with doing some rapid fire?
Oh, go ahead, man.
I haven't vetted any of these, and we're doing this in live time here. Let's see here. Fowler Buick left a comment. I mean, I keep calling them. They were Fowler Buick for years. Fowler GMC commented there, but we'll skip over that because I've already read that. Mary says the same people who want to boycott and ridicule the company as a whole are the same people who won't ridicule or boycott the music film industry as a whole when they're known for glorifying pedophiles. True that. Christy says, what is his catch to charge to conviction ratio? Yes, that's a great question. I was about to ask you that. You've been doing this for a little bit now. How many of the people that you've set up have been arrested and charged?
7 people. And that's all happened within like the last 4 months. See, people didn't start taking me serious until I had to start getting like and basically cracking down and getting serious with them. Like, I made them take me serious. So now we're starting to get taken more serious. They know that what our goal is number one. There's been plenty of times where I got them arrested and didn't even do a video because the police didn't want me to do a video. And I said, okay. And I gave them the case. I've had 3 arrests like that in the past 2 months. So for people saying it's for likes and clicks, that's BS, Clay. I'm just going to tell you that because I've given literal cases to police so they can arrest them. I gave my phone to them so they can have it and text the predator and get him arrested.
Nice. So 7 arrests and how many convictions?
Only 1 conviction. Everybody else is still waiting on their trial.
It takes a little while for things to work. The wheels of justice move slow, so it can take a while. I mean, our mayor around here is tied up in a federal corruption thing, and his trial ain't until July 26th. So it can take a little while to get to these convictions. They usually end up pleading down.
4 different states.
4 different states, yeah. So everything moves a little bit differently. I don't expect our fella here to get arrested till till the end of the week potentially. So like people are already upset that he hadn't already been arrested. I'm like, man, that's a lot of evidence to digest. You got to figure out the jurisdictions, yada, yada, yada. So I think everybody just be patient with it. So I think good work. Somebody did text in, and maybe you can confirm this or not. Was there one that you were involved in, maybe down in Louisiana, that it got sideways and your assistance possibly hindered the investigation? Is that true?
No.
Okay, somebody just texted that in. Let's see here. I'm kind of going through these questions in live time. Bear with me as I read them. Are anybody else in our area that we can, any more pedos in the central Mississippi area that you might be having conversations with?
I can't disclose that in case they could be listening. But just know that we're talking to people everywhere.
Gotcha. All right, Larry asks, my question is, in outing this person, do your actions create any problems with law enforcement? Could your actions be seen as entrapment? I know you've already answered this in the first hour, but let's just run it back. Could your actions be seen as entrapment? Lastly, and there have been lots of comments on different pages regarding this, outing this person at their workplace. We don't have to hit the workplace again. We've done it 2 or 3 times now. But you did bring up entrapment earlier. A lot of listeners come and go throughout the show. So for people who haven't been listening yet, explain to them why this is not entrapment.
So entrapment only works if I'm a government official, which I'm not. I'm a journalist. So I'm just a person going to talk to another person, and that's all it is.
Have you had anybody tell you that this is just me asking here, has anybody in law enforcement told you that even these admissions are inadmissible for any reason?
No, I have so many friends in law enforcement that are fans and love what I do and help me so much, and I'm so grateful for them. I mean, I don't know why cops are always on my side for some reason. Like, they love what I do. Like, I haven't had one negative comment from a law enforcement. I've had thousands of law enforcement officers coming through my DMs and my messages, and I haven't had one negative comment from them. So I commend the law all the way.
All right, here's a good question from my buddy Mike Watkins. Mike's a veteran, does a lot of really good work with the medical marijuana community here in the state. Mike asks this. He says, what are the most troubling trends / loopholes that are allowing these people to go free? How do we ensure that these individuals stay locked up for their crimes? What laws need to be changed for our children to be protected? You're on the front lines of this, literally. What are you seeing in the short time you've been doing this where you say, wow, man, I can't believe that they're getting off for this reason, or this is what's making it easy for these guys to continue doing this?
Okay, so how the law is written says if a person willingly does this or tries to meet or anything on the internet with a person that is 15 or younger, or someone who believes they are 15 and younger. Me personally, I haven't had any loopholes. I've had times where police, they just won't take the case at all because they're scared to take it to trial because they always want 100% conviction rate, so they're scared to do it. I've had many of those. But loopholes, there's not any of those, just because how the law is written. And it's a beautiful thing. Yeah,
so once you give them over the evidence with the text and all that stuff, and you've got the proof that it's these guys, I mean, I guess they could set up fake Snapchats and this, that, and the other, but most people don't. Most people are so arrogant, they don't think to do that. So, well, brother, look, I think I've kind of ran everything I've got here without running in circles. I appreciate you taking time this morning. I know you'll be on with Sean and them from noon to 1 today here on the same station, so everybody be sure to tune in for that. Bryce, tell people how to follow you, your Rumble, your Facebook, all that good stuff. If they want to donate, how they can do any of that.
Yeah, if they all want to keep up with me, y'all can. I'm on Facebook at Preds v Pray. I'm on Rumble as Preds v Pray. And if y'all want to donate, man, I'm not asking for no money. Just send a star or something on Facebook, or no, I don't ask for any donations. I don't want to be viewed as that. Okay, but I will appreciate every like, share, and follow that y'all can give me, and keep up with what I'm doing. And and that does me just as good.
Let me ask this real quick, because that is something that got brought up a lot in the comments. And I get this a lot too. Oh, you're just doing this for clicks. You're just doing this for money. Well, it is my job. So yes, I do it. It does. The clicks and the money do in fact help, so I can continue to do this. You can always just choose not to watch if you don't want to participate in that. But I'm guessing this is mostly because I understand the monetization of social media. You're mostly doing this out of pocket, huh?
Yeah, I do everything out of pocket.
So you're not making enough money from this. You pay for this. Is a true labor of love.
Dude, I have one sponsor a month, and he's been with me from the very beginning. And his name is Jason Gibson. He's in Hot Springs, Arkansas, and he sells hot tubs. And he's the best man that I could possibly think of. He gives me a couple $100 a month, and that's all I make.
I dig it, man. So if people wanted to sponsor a bust, they could reach out and sponsor a bust, huh? But not like a donation type. I dig it. Look, there's a lot of people out there who love what you do and would love to see more of it. And I'm one of them. I hate seeing a local business get hurt. That kicks me in the nads a little bit. But I understand all of it, and it's unfortunate, but I think that Fowler will come out on the better side of all this. The way they've handled this has been top tier, and I think that people will show them grace and compassion, and we will continue to do business with Fowler. I sure hope.
Oh yeah, do. Fowler GMC got a huge shout out. Everybody go shop Fowler GMC if you're local. Well, everybody's local here, so everybody go shop Fowler GMC. So they terminated them immediately. So that's the best possible outcome that you can get.
I keep saying bye, but I do want to. You ding my bell a little bit there. I want to say ask you one thing. The reaction of the managers when you got him to tell him he had to tell a manager, which I loved that part too, because that's accountability, and I'm all about some accountability. When you got him to do that, was there and I haven't watched your other videos to see if this is common, if you've done that before. Would you say that their reaction was right on kind of average? I mean, not undersold or oversold. They did what they had to do from a corporate level. I thought their reactions were fine.
Yeah, the owner's reaction, 100%. That's why you hear me say okay, because I've got told that exact same thing from Tom about 4 different times from the owner. It's because you got to look at it from their perspective. One, Hector could be their best worker. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. He could be their highest running, getting him paid the most. He could be, and another reason, he's like, oh wow, I got to really look at some evidence. I got to really think about this. Like, what is happening? So yeah, I think the owner's reaction was 100% valid. And then the other people really doesn't matter because they're not the owner. But the other people's reaction was like, dang, I've known Hector for a long time, so I don't really want to like make him feel bad. Yeah. But at the same time, like, that is above my pay grade.
It is. So I'm glad to hear you say that because you've done this more. Because I thought, man, they were caught way off guard. They were blindsided with something really, really heavy. And I wanted to show them. I wanted to make sure we showed them some grace, because I know they were catching some flack in the comments in my page and other pages. All right, Bryce, brother, I appreciate you taking the time this morning. I'll be listening back at noon today when you're on with Sean and them. Have a blessed day, and look, man, keep it up.
Hey, I appreciate it, Clay. You have a good day, okay?
You too. All right, guys, a lot to unpack. We got to take a break. I ran over big time with that extra conversation there. Y'all don't go anywhere. This is the Clay Edwards Show. We'll be right back. Welcome back into the Clay Edwards Show, here live on WYAB. This segment brought to you by our friends over at Mazda of Jackson. The weather is heating up. It is, in fact, heating up. That's a factual statement. The weather's heating up, and the deals are even hotter at Mazda of Jackson. Right now, at Mazda of Jackson, you can drive home your dream Mazda with low financing rates available. 2.9% for 72 months on most models. Or, guys, if you can handle a little bit more car note, you can really save on the interest. 36 months and pay just 0.9%. Guys, that's almost borrowing money for free. Experience Mazda's award-winning design, exhilarating performance, cutting-edge technology, top-notch safety, and reliability. It's time to choose Mazda. Shop online at MazdaofJackson.com or visit Mazda of Jackson in person, I-55 Frontage Road. And you guessed it, Jackson. right there at Briarwood. And don't forget, all new Mazdas come with a lifetime powertrain warranty only at Mazda of Jackson. Good folks over there. I talked to Chris Carr over the weekend, man. Good people. All right, man, let's jump back into it. The phone lines are wide open. I have extended an invitation to the folks at Fowler. I think they're getting ready to call in now, so we will interrupt whatever we're doing to let the folks from Fowler GMC call in and speak their piece and say whatever they would like to say. I think that's only the fair and right thing to do. And you guys know that there's not a bigger supporter of local businesses than me. And I have been conflicted on this thing because of the shrapnel that Fowler took. They're not a sponsor here or anything like that. I don't have any. I'm not obligated by any reason to extend an invitation to them, other than it's the right thing to do. And so Fowler, I'm awaiting them to call in now. I think Christy is going to be calling in. So until she does, I'm going to sit here and kind of run my mouth for a minute. But the phone lines are open. I know it's a little confusing here. We have a phone line sponsor, which is Mazda of Jackson. That phone number is 601-879-0002. Let's check out the Guns and Gear text line in the meantime. And I don't want to clutter up all the phone numbers right this second, so y'all bear with me. Unknown texter, why didn't he set up a meeting with him and the decoy like some other predator hunters do? So I heard him address that in another text or another comment or whatnot over the weekend. And he just said straight up that the dealership is the safest place for him. And I know some people will get upset that he put his safety in there, but he goes, at work is the safest place to do this. And you can't argue against that. It is. You meet up with somebody in a park somewhere. They can run. They can do anything. I mean, this guy wasn't going to. I mean, you had a perfect scenario there, trapping somebody, so to say, in their closed private office to have this conversation. It's hard to. It's hard from anybody's perspective to try to make any excuses for this because of the irreprehensible nature of what the allegations against Hector are. We got to call on that legally. I know he admitted to it in the video, all that stuff, but Clay ain't getting himself sued. So legally, it's allegedly for time being. I know he allegedly admitted to all of it, but still, you got to protect yourself. So I'm reading multiple things here. Yeah. I meant to bring up Fred Shank's bill for chemical castration. I don't say it died. It's going to get brought back up. I guess it did die. It's going to get brought back up next session. I think chemical castration is absolutely something we need to make an option in this state for pedophiles. I mean, the fact that it's already not is interesting to me. Like, who voted that down? I don't know that it made it to floor. I don't remember or not. Fred, if you're listening, did the castration bill make it to the floor? Or did it get shot down before it got there? Somebody else that asked, William and Brandon on the Guns and Gear text line asked, why not take the evidence to law enforcement versus going to the house on his own? He did answer that. It was really simple. Let's take a call here real quick. I think we got Christy with Fowler. Hey, is this Christy?
It is.
Christy, you're on the air. I just want to let you know on the front end here. This is
no problem.
This is Christy Ward with Fowler GMC calling to kind of give their side or make a statement, and we wanted to extend the opportunity, in all fairness, to make sure that they got to tell their story through one of their staff members. So, Christy, the mic is yours.
Okay. Again, I'm Christy Ward, co-GM at Fowler GMC. And first off, I wanted to thank you, Clay, for allowing us the opportunity to get our statement out there this morning before your interview with Mr. Bryce, and to let the public know that we did terminate him immediately after hearing of this or seeing this on social media. I am the one that actually terminated him immediately.
So
and
let me ask you this real quick. So did this happen before he left the building Friday?
Yes, this happened before he left. No, I'm sorry. He was asked to leave the building Friday. I was already gone. He was asked to leave the building Friday or left afterwards, and then I called him and told him he was terminated.
So before Saturday, he knew not to come back?
Oh, yes. He was terminated within minutes of leaving the dealership.
Okay, good deal. I think that's really important for people who felt like it wasn't being prioritized.
Within the first 30 minutes of leaving the dealership, he was terminated, because at that point, that's when we found out about it, when it was blasted all over social media.
Okay, good deal.
And us as working here at Fowler does not condone those type of actions from anybody. And had we known that had been taking place, we would have addressed that situation ahead of this situation, the way that this was handled.
Yeah, look, and I said it over the weekend when I had an opportunity. I said the way Fowler handles this is going to be obviously very, very important. And when I woke up this morning at 5 o'clock, I checking my phone like I always do, and I saw y'all's post. I saw y'all's statement, and I was like, home run. That it was even better than what I would have anticipated. I thought taking ownership and addressing everything that y'all had seen addressed with the reactions of the managers and Tom's reaction, I thought was dead on. And I even brought that up at the tail end of Bryce and I's conversation, and he said he was impressed with the reaction, that it was dead on, the right reaction to have. So anybody that was expecting, the two of them to blow up and just have a nuclear meltdown immediately, just don't live in the real world.
Exactly. And being in a business situation, you have to handle things the legal way. And so therefore, that's why we haven't responded to the posts over the weekend, the negative or the positive ones, because legally we had to do what is the right thing to do. But we care about our customers and we care about our employees. And that's the main thing, and that's the word that we wanted to get out there to everybody. And we would never have allowed someone to work here knowing that something like that was going on, and we'll continue to never allow that to happen.
Fowler is a locally owned, family-owned business for 72 years. I believe that's right?
Yes, sir. 72 years since 1953.
72 years in this community. I ask y'all to give them some grace and understand that they didn't know this was going on. And anybody who's just especially people running to their comments or their reviews and doing all that stuff, you're doing irreparable damage to a good business, good folks, family owned, they got 50 people working in that building, all citizens and all people who live in and around Rankin County. You're cutting off your nose to spite your face to run around and try to put these folks or hurt these folks' business. Don't do that, please.
And that's another thing that a reason that I think that it was, I'm thanking you for allowing us to address this, is that not only were we dealing with the public and their responses and replies to the situation that took place on Friday, but we also had these 50 employees that we were dealing with as well, not knowing what was going on, everybody being blindsided. And this is how they financially take care of their families. So I want everyone to understand that, this is not something that we even, we want any business to have to go through, and we want those businesses to put themselves in our situation and know that all we can do is a background check, a drug screen. We don't know what goes on behind people's doors when they're not at work. All we know is what goes on behind the doors of Fowler GMC, and those actions were never shown up here by Hector Custode as long as he worked here. I know I didn't never believe they were, because I've worked in that business for 12 years at dealerships just like Fowler, and it was the same way. I mean, you don't know what you don't know. You know what I mean? No, you don't.
And
you don't go home with these people. I mean, we're just here together at work every day, taking care of our families. So this could happen to anybody, and I just ask the other businesses and the public just in general to take that into consideration and understand that this is not a reflection, or should not be a reflection, on Fowler GMC as a business. And he no longer works here, and did it within 30 minutes of finding out that this took place.
Yeah, anybody who's never worked somewhere with an HR department to understand how hard it is to fire somebody in an HR world and in a lawsuit world, to be able to get it done in 30 minutes, considering everything that they got smacked upside the head with. I want people to stop what they're doing right now and give them a round of applause, because that ain't easy on a Friday, Good Friday, going into a holiday, people leaving early, to address that situation like they did and to get through the weekend. honor Easter weekend and then make a statement after Easter weekend when they were taking heat like they did. I just think you handled everything perfectly, and I want to make sure that we acknowledge that and everybody understands that. And hopefully the mob will calm down a little bit this morning going into the week, and you guys can kind of start working towards getting this behind you and doing anything y'all need to do to help with law enforcement and all that stuff, and get out there and move some metal.
Thank you so much, and thank you guys for listening to our, reading our statement and listening to me this morning. And hopefully business will go on now without any other interruptions. I'm sure we still have a lot to deal with, but at least we've been able to address the situation now, and I hope everyone understands why we waited until today to do it.
I know I do. Look, y'all have a blessed one. I'm here for you if you need anything. Y'all know how to get in touch with me. My platform is yours to help get y'all through this any way I can.
Thank you so much.
All right, Christy, have a blessed day. Thank you.
You too. Bye-bye.
All right, let's take a break real quick and come right back. We got to make up where I ran over a couple times. This is the Clay Edwards Show. Welcome back in to the Clay Edwards Show. This segment brought to you by several of our favorite restaurants. What's for lunch today? You might be asking. Let's start at McBee's. It's Monday. The blue plate of the day is chicken spaghetti. And guys, it's oh so good with every serving of chicken spaghetti, guaranteed to have the same amount of chicken as every other order. That's right. They grill the chicken. They put it on top of the chicken spaghetti instead of mixing it in where you could have no chicken and the person beside you could have chicken galore. You all got the same amount of chicken from McBee's. Also, not filling chicken spaghetti. Everyday meats include hamburger steak, fried or grilled chicken breast, and their hand-battered country fried steak with a host of sides. How about Martin's? You may be asking. Maybe you're going to be out towards Livingston, or maybe you're going to be in downtown Jackson. Martin's, the guaranteed blue plate special of the day is fried or grilled pork chop, and, of course, their full menu is also available. How about our good friends? We had him here on the show Friday, Stephen O'Neill, down at the Manship Wood-Fired Kitchen on North State Street, right across from the Baptist Hospital. It's a Meatloaf Monday, all made from scratch, locally sourced, as much of it on the plate as they can. Go by, grab it. Only $15 to eat at one of the most fancy, high-end restaurants in town. Go get a $15 dish, and don't forget happy hour, half-price wood-fired pizzas. And last, and certainly not least, our good friends at all three locations of Burgers, Blues, Barbecue, their Dogwood location in Flowood, right there in front of Dick's Sporting Goods, their Madison Main Street location, and their downtown Brandon location. The blue plate of the day is red beans and rice with sausage, hamburger steak, and fried chicken. That's right. Basically like country fried steak, but it's chicken fried chicken with gravy. The sides are mashed potatoes, green beans, and potato salad. All right, that is what's for lunch today on the Blue Plate specials from your Clay Edwards Show partners. The Mazda Jackson phone line is 601-879-0002. A lot of y'all were blowing the phone line up while I had our guest on the line. Just FYI, I'm not going to answer the phone and merge callers in with guests. So I know they do that on some other shows around here. It's too much of a headache to do that. You got about a minute left. If you want to make a phone call today, get it in now or forever hold your peace. Guys, I was going to get into the talk about Britain. What's his last name? I'm going to have to punt it to tomorrow. It's too serious of a conversation to not give the attention to it deserves. The Britton Butler conversation. He was a sexual predator, arrested for multiple counts of exploitation of a child. He pled to 2 charges last week, I believe, up in Madison County. He's going to serve 8 years in prison. I've talked to a lot of people that know him, a lot of people who were affected by things that he's done. We're going to talk about that in depth tomorrow. We're going to start giving these cases here locally a lot more attention, these sexual predator cases. So just tune in tomorrow, and we'll get into the Britton Butler story case. And that should satisfy a lot of folks who say that I don't talk about things in Rankin and Madison County, which I've been doing a lot more of that lately. So I think you guys need to pay more attention. Fred Shanks, Representative Fred Shanks, did follow up discussing the bill about chemical castration for pedophiles. The bill died in committee, but it made a lot of headway. We'll definitely be bringing it back up in the coming sessions. I think there's going to be a good appetite for the chemical castration bill moving forward, with cases like this making things very real. And that, to me, and shout out to Fowler GMC for calling in this morning, handled that with such grace. Other than a few idiots upset with them, I thought this thing brought a lot of good exposure to a bad thing. You know, it's one thing to see these deals on a national stage, and while they don't affect me, when it happens in your backyard, literally in my backyard, right there in Pearl, Brandon area, when it happens there and you see it and how nonchalant the perp was, it gets real fast, doesn't it? And you appreciate the exposure this thing got. And who's next? You know, here's what I would warn you about. A lot more guys that think that they can do what Bryce does, deciding to get out there and do it and getting yourselves hurt. Be very careful about that. I don't want to call Bryce a pro, but he's obviously got a pretty good record and done this a little bit more. Maybe try teaming up with somebody that's been doing it for a while before you try to jump in and you get yourself or somebody else killed doing it. That would be my recommendation of the day. We got to take our last break, come back, land the plane for the day. This is the Clay Edwards Show. All right, online audience. Look, I've been all over the place. I didn't do a whole lot of talking during the breaks today because when I'm on the phone during commercial break, the phone won't push over to the internet the way the system is set up. So I had a guest on the phone. There was no point in trying to talk to you all while I had him on the phone. So with that said, I appreciate everybody. We had a huge streaming audience this morning, over 700 people for a 7 to 8 a.m. stream. That is big time in the morning times for a local show. So thank everybody. Thank you to everybody who got up this morning, watched this stream. Y'all hit the share button so people can go back and watch it. I hope we covered it and got all the questions answered that y'all wanted to hear answered. I'm satisfied with what I heard and with his explanation for why he did what he did. I know a lot of people are still going to be upset about the business. I understand Fowler being upset too, by the way. They've earned the right. They deserve to be upset. You know, I mean, they got blindsided. I completely understand them being upset. But I do think they handled it with grace, and I ask that y'all show them some grace as well. So, look, I'll be back here tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Who knows what else we'll be talking about beyond the Britton Butler stuff. A lot of disgusting details with that case. Happened right here in Madison County, right under our noses. Apparently it had been happening for a long time, too. Allegedly, of course. Can't prove it all. But we're going to start exposing this stuff when we get the opportunity to. I think there's a big appetite for it. And frankly, I'm tired of talking about Jackson. I just am. Doesn't mean we won't do it some, but it can't be all I do. It's driving me back crap crazy. Love y'all. Stay blessed.